Okay, well, Nat, thank you so much for your time and for joining me today. It's great to see you. How are
It's,
you?
it's my pleasure, Sarvi. It's so nice to spend some time with you this morning.
I
I
know.
am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
How has the past few months been? At the time that we're recording this, it's been 5.5, 6 months that we've been in this pandemic and work from home.
Yeah, no, I have to say, it has been a bit of a surreal time, I think, for definitely for myself, but I think for a lot of people. And we have had to confront a number of unusual new situations through this pandemic. For me personally, it has been good in the sense that it has allowed for more outdoor activities, more time to spend with my family, but also more time to reflect
Yes.
on a number of things. And I think it's probably true for a lot of our colleagues. I think it has been also a very difficult time for a number of us. And so I know my family has been spending a lot of time in the last few months supporting in the best way that we can, whether it's families around us, family, but also by participating socially into initiatives that are meant to support
Mhm.
those of us that are going through tougher time during this period.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if there is obviously so much has happened in the past few months for all of us, and I think if there's any silver lining is, as you mentioned, is this reflection that we all went through, and in some ways, even though physically distanced, but brought us a little bit together, and this sense of we are one, hopefully. I think those are maybe some silver linings that years from now we can look back at it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the "we're in this together" line is definitely one that I've used numerous time over the last few months, and I truly believe that the best way to go through these types of social health crisis is by sticking together and supporting each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Nat, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today is um, I think when I look back at your career journey, and I had the pleasure of working with you when you were Chief Operating Officer, when we were both in Bay Street, you were the COO, you were Chief Legal Counsel, and I talked to you when I was working with you, and you told me about your career journey. You have such a breadth in terms of the experiences that you had, whether in terms of the companies, the roles you had. You were VP of HR, and I always really admire that about you. So I'm sure anyone else also looking at your journey, they are going to be curious and have that question. So I would love to know how much of your path was intentional and how much of it was just by accident that it just happened.
So that's an excellent question, Sarvi. I pleasure of the opportunity to work with you. And I would welcome the opportunity to work with you again. So when I reflect on my career, what I would say is there's really two paths that I think generally you are in front of as you continue to evolve your career. You can either stay with one organization, which I think is absolutely fabulous. And if you are fortunate enough within that organization to get various opportunities to continue to grow and be challenged, I think it's a fantastic career. And I have many of my colleagues in my network that have evolved in the same organization and very often in the same area of that organization. And I've had absolutely tremendous careers and are absolutely fabulous leaders. My career has evolved in a different way, and partly it was intentional in the sense that I wanted to experience different areas of corporate. I wanted to be stretched and challenged. I guess I, to some extent, I had probably, in retrospect, the courage to do it because doesn't always work out, as you know, when you take this type of risk. But I've never regretted any of those decisions that I've taken. And so very early on in my career, I was interested in many aspects of a large organization or a medium-sized organization, which is primarily where my career has evolved. And as you know, my background is in law, and so I've practiced law for a number of years, and then became an in-house counsel fairly quickly and early on in my career for all sorts of reasons that we're not going to go in details with today. But as you know, I'm not the only one who makes that decision. There's a number of lawyers that after a few years in private practice are eager to use their skills within a corporate environment. And from there, life brought to me opportunities that I felt were too good to pass, because they were opportunities that were taking me out of my comfort zone. And you know, I was, and I'm still both terrified and incredibly energized by these types of opportunities that knock at the door. And so had opportunities to head compliance department and kind of dip my toes in risk management, you know, as well as leading legal departments of global organizations or organizations that have their head offices not located in Canada, which, as you know, brings a whole different set of challenges, but also operations. I had this tremendous opportunity to actually kind of sink my teeth into something on the business side, and gain some skills and capabilities while doing it that I would have never been able to gain if I had stayed in a focused legal or pure legal role. And then, you know, some of these decisions were not necessarily decisions that I would have taken. There's also life that is part of this journey. And for various reasons, at some point in my career, I had to relocate in Toronto. And at that point, had to go back to school to get my credentials in Ontario to be able to practice. But that has brought different opportunities. And that has forced me to take different path than probably I would have taken if I had stayed in Montreal at that point in my career. And more recently, the decision to also take an HR role at the executive level, that was such an exciting decision. And as you know, these jobs are incredibly difficult. I can tell you now that I've gone in and out of an executive role in HR. It has definitely challenged me in, I would say, probably the biggest way in my career. You know, when you work as a general counsel or a head of risk or on the business side, you appreciate and you learn to rely on your HR partners in a significant way. And if you are lucky, those HR partners have great business acumen and become really incredible, critical partners to your role. But then going on the other side and becoming such partner, you realize how difficult, how complex these roles are. And you learn so much about yourself that for myself, after 25 years of career, I still had not grasped or understood. And so I would say that was probably the most challenging role that I had in my career, but also has given me a renewed respect and appreciation for the incredibly important, especially now, and challenging work that is the day-to-day life of an HR executive.
Yeah. You mentioned the word courage, and I, as someone who worked with you a number of years, you're definitely one of the most courageous leaders I know, and I know people in your team, that was one thing that we were really looking up to you. I'm curious, as you moved from as someone, as you mentioned, you're a lawyer by background, and then you moved to these different roles that maybe someone necessarily wouldn't think that a lawyer would go into these roles and be as successful as you were. Um, how did you position yourself for those roles? How did you go from being a lawyer, general counsel, going into HR or COO? What kind of conversations at the time, whether with a mentor or the other leaders, did you have that you think if someone wants to do a career, follow a career journey same as yours, should have that type of conversation?
Yeah, so I think the best way to answer that question is to say that when we evolve in the corporate world, the biggest asset of any organization, any department, is the people. And that is the one single most critical thing that will make an organization successful or that will make an organization fail. So whether you're in law, in strategy, in first line revenue generating businesses, or in a support function, you are dealing day in and day out with people. And so basically the thread that brings all this together for me is leadership. And I am definitely passionate about leadership. And I'm passionate about accomplishing results through people, but also along the way, helping to grow them, to mentor them, to elevate them, learn from them. When you have a great team, they challenge you to no end. And you grow as a result. It is a partnership. And so from my perspective, that is the thread that holds all this together and gave me the courage to say, okay, I know that I can be a good leader. I know that I can elevate, support, and learn from other people. And the other aspects, which is the technical capability that you need, can be learned to a certain extent. Not, to be clear, there are roles where technical capability is needed. Deep subject matter expertise is needed. But when you are an executive, there are some technical capabilities that you need to have and to learn, but you can actually learn them enough so that you're asking the right questions and you deliver the work through your team that is a true team of subject matter experts. And so that gave me the courage to say, okay, I can do that. I can at least try, and then I'll learn a whole lot through the process. And if I'm successful, fantastic. But if I'm not, I still will have gained all of this experience that I will be able to bring into another role and hopefully be an even better leader. So that's always kind of the more kind of pragmatic reasoning that I always had with myself when I was presented with those opportunities. And that's how I position myself. Like it's quite basic. It's quite simple. I love people. I believe in people. I think we accomplish the greatest, biggest, most important things together. And to have the privilege to lead a team that will do a little bit of that has always been the main single driving factor in my career.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Nat, I know you and I, we both share this passion for advancements of women in leadership positions. When I was working with you, you were the executive sponsor for our women's network. And we've done a number of events and seminars and initiatives together. and I know you are chair of board of directors for Women in Capital Markets. I would love to hear more about that. What are some of the things that you do at a larger scale, but also even on day-to-day basis, back to your passion around leadership in general, and now layering in an advancement of women in leadership roles? What are some of the actions that you're taking and initiatives?
Yeah, so as you know, currently I'm in career transition. I just took a new role, going back into the practice of law, heading a legal department, which I'm very, very excited about. That's one of the things that the pandemic brought to me, is the opportunity to reflect and go back to what I think I love the most at this point in my career. But bringing all of those experiences with me in this new role. So my role as chair of the board for Women in Capital Market, I am incredibly proud of this role. And I'm incredibly excited about the opportunity to help this organization continue to, together with the fantastic group of board members that are around the table, to continue to advance the strategic goal of this important organization, which is really to advance and foster gender diversity. And, you know, we care deeply, I think, all of us, because I know you do, Sarvi. We care deeply about diversity. We've seen firsthand in our jobs, organizations, communities, how important embracing diversity and different perspectives and backgrounds and ways of approaching life, how important these voices are into the bigger narrative. And so I also do believe that the more you have gender parity, equality, and representation at the table, the more you advance all diversity goals. And so I do believe that gender diversity is at the core of, if you will. And so I have made a commitment. It is one of my life purpose to continue to advance women and mentor young women in corporate Canada and empower them and giving them the path, if I can, or helping them along the way to find their purpose and not be blocked by hurdles that could come to them because of prejudice or biases that are still so present into our organizations. But I also have to say that the biggest success I have seen have been in complete partnership with the incredible executive men that have been engaged. And there are so many of them, I could name so many of them, that are deeply, deeply engaged into this quest and have opened doors and created path for so many women in Canada. But there's more work to do. And we cannot do it alone. And there's many organizations that are involved in pushing, in disrupting, in continuing to apply pressure. Women in Capital Market is one of them. And together with all of our male leaders, I think we can continue to make great progress in the next few years. And so, extremely important. I have been involved as well in the organizations I've been working with. Almost all of them have been involved in their women executive networks or their young women mentoring programs, so on and so forth. But I do believe that the answer includes men. And and need to continue to include men going forward. And so I also try to nudge and recruit and all of my, male colleagues. And I have to say all of them are more than eager to be part of this discussion of diversity and inclusion generally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I remember you had a very good partnership with the entire executive team at the time we were working together. And I think that's one of the main ways to be able to make progress in anything, but specifically about diversity and inclusion that we're talking about. And that's just the last thing for us to wrap up. All of your incredible experience, your passion around your work, around advancement of women and leadership. What is one advice you have for someone like myself, a woman, or even the men supporting women?
So very simple. I'm going to go here with just being authentic in my heart. Just love yourself. Trust who you are. And don't apologize for who you are. And don't try too much to fit into a mold that is uncomfortable, right? On the long run, being yourself, believing in yourself, and surrounding yourself with people that elevate you, that nurture you, not easy with you necessarily, right? As you know, we have people that are champion, right? They love us, they think highly of us, they are elevating us. And there are true mentors that will elevate you, but will also let you know when you need to recalibrate, when you need to pivot, when you need to have a greater look at how you're coming across.
Yeah.
Or the skills that perhaps you don't have that you need to go and get. And those mentors are incredibly important. But throughout that, don't lose sight of who you are. Don't lose sight of what your heart tells you, and your true power, which is authenticity.
Absolutely.
And hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing's possible without passion, focus, and hard work.
Absolutely. No, those are the ingredients for success in anything. I love your point around authenticity and don't want to necessarily fit in a mold and just try to be same as everyone else. And that again, to me, goes back to diversity. Each of us being
and Sarvi, to be clear, I've done that.
Yeah.
Oh, so many years.
Yeah.
And then when you break free of that is really when you can harness the power you have inside, and you can really make a big difference for some people around you and in your role.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember earlier in my career when I first graduated, I was looking at my career as this ladder that I need to just climb and get to the top. And over the years, what I learned is I really shouldn't look at it that way. And it's more about what are the roles and the companies that allow me to be who I truly am, because that's automatically I will be successful and I will climb that ladder as needed. But to be able to really be authentic and show your true self, I think it just brings so much peace and calm for yourself, and you can be a better individual performer, better leader. So now anyone, when they ask me about what is your career path and what are you going to do next, I say I always focus first on the feeling that I have within the roles. It's about that. And after that, then I think about what is the specific title and the specific role. So yeah, definitely authenticity is important.
I think that's such an important point, actually, that you're raising. And thank you for raising it, because it gives me an opportunity to offer these comments. One of the things that I've learned through my career is not to be like, you can be ambitious. Of course, you should be ambitious. But titles, and to a certain extent, even compensation, is not, I truly believe this, are not the ingredients that are going to make you happy, in your career. It is really what you do, who you do it with, what you learn, how you're challenged, and the growth that you experience in a caring environment, in an environment that includes and that is inclusive, and in an environment where you feel you can make your voice heard.
Mhm.
And I think that if I can offer any word of wisdom at this point in my career, uh, it has been definitely what I continue to come back to, the ingredient of true success.
Absolutely. Nat, thank you so much. I feel like I can talk to you for hours.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
This has definitely been one of my favorite interviews that I've done, and I've been doing this since March. It's such an incredible honor for me to know you and to work with you. And I know everyone hear this, they will get so many benefits from it. So thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully I get to see you at a physically distance, but I get to see
Yes,
you.
that would be lovely. I'm going to look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Thanks again, Nat.
Okay, bye.